A girl had been lost in the Russian tundra for 2 weeks and managed to survive. A girl named Svetlana Avai decided to take a walk across the Russian tundra in the afternoon. Little did she know that she would stray off course and get desperately lost. The day turned into the night, and every passing hour reduced her chances of finding her way back home. The girl had to fight as hard as she could to stay alive. Svetlana Avai was a 15-year-old girl who lived all her life in the Gaidan Peninsula, a bitterly cold place in northern Siberia. She desired to live outside of the round-the-clock routine with her family. Like many other families in that region, Svetlana and her relatives herded reindeer to make a living. This job is far more than the most engaging one. In fact, Svetlana was too tired of everyday, mundane work, which made her take this reckless step and explore Siberia's rough terrain. When the girl was at home, she dreamt of spending time with her brother who lived at a different camp some distance away. Perhaps Svetlana had a lot of fun she wasn't allowed to have, but his camp was just 4 miles away from the girl's home, so she decided that paying her brother a visit would be an awesome idea while getting to his home would be a piece of cake. It was way more interesting to hang up with him rather than sit around with her family and some reindeer. Svetlana set off to visit her lovely brother without any kind of navigation aids. However, the girl was confident and didn't worry at all. She knew the area like the back of her hand. In a few hours, Svetlana started getting the jitters. She should have come to her brother by now, but somehow she stood in the middle of nowhere with no people or buildings in plain sight. Meanwhile, her family noticed the girl disappeared and started getting concerned. Svetlana had never gone out alone for such a long time. Her uncle Ivan knew that every hour was worth its weight in gold and organized a search group of family members and neighbors. They had to find her. Ivan got the picture of the huge scoop of the Siberian region. Even though they knew the probable direction Svetlana had headed, they could get lost and switch to any other route. And the uncle was right. After a harsh night out on the tundra, Svetlana got completely lost and didn't know what direction to choose. While she deeply desired to get back home, another issue arose. She had to survive. Svetlana knew her family started looking for her, yet it could be a while until anyone arrived. Luckily, she found some cloudberries that were half frozen and unripe. Nevertheless, it was food that could help her not die. As more time passed, Svetlana continued moving. She was cautious and frightened while continuously looking over her shoulder. On the tundra, there were a lot of dangerous and always hungry beasts. Arctic wolves would usually hunt stray reindeer, but they would taste a lost girl as their meal with pleasure as well. Even though the day temperatures could sometimes reach 80 degrees Fahrenheit, the night air dropped far below zero. Svetlana did her best to stay alive and avoid hypothermia. In 2 weeks, Svetlana was so weak she couldn't walk anymore. Nevertheless, the desire to live was stronger than the circumstances. The girl began to crawl on her hands and knees. She knew she didn't have much time left. Her family didn't quit the searches, even though there was no trace of Svetlana. He had spotted some brown bears. The thought that these beasts could hunt the girl down and dragged her off to its den were gruesome and horrific. Ivan walked around an area 7 miles from their home. Out of the blue, he saw a figure on the horizon. It crawled toward him. He ran towards it immediately and hoped for a miracle. Fortunately, it was Svetlana. Her tiny body was damaged and bruised. She was emotionally devastated, but she was alive. And it was the most important thing. Living in such a distant part of the Gaidan Peninsula, Svetlana couldn't have access to full medical staff right when they carried her home. Soon, a helicopter arrived and took her to the hospital. While being on board, the girl told her incredible story. It was amazing the girl survived after 2 weeks in the wilderness. Even though she was just 15 years old, Svetlana managed to avoid the tundra's many dangers while hitting upon the idea to take advantage of its biggest resource, plenty of fresh water. Luckily, the girl seemed to be pretty healthy. Despite having no food and shelter for over 2 weeks, Her vitals were pretty stable. Medicals assured her life wasn't in danger. However, Svetlana's family decided to keep her in the hospital in Tazovsky to fully recover. They were deeply grateful she managed to survive and hoped that after her appalling adventure, Svetlana wouldn't mind staying at home again.